Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co host, Trey Holiday. And you guys know I can't do this without the big O. What's up, big O? Happy Friday, man.
Hey, thank God it's Friday, Triana.
Yeah, you made it, brother.
Almost made it. We'll see if we get past this. Before we jump into the show, though, man, today's big day. Is the best thing about Friday, to be honest with you, is chats with Trey. That's at 2 o'clock today. I know you hate to brag on yourself, so I'm gonna brag for you. Before we get going into the show, we need to play the show promo for later on today at 2 p.m.
Yeah. Coming up this week on Chats with Trey. What's up, guys? Coming up this week on Chats with Trey, I got Erica of the ULA Company. And if you guys see this beautiful mask and this beautiful print dress I have on, you guys can catch it there. So definitely want to stay tuned for this episode coming up at 2 p.m.
Dang, Trey, look at you. Man, I'm tuning in.
God.
Whoa. I see how you do it for you see how you do on this show, and then I see how you do it for your show.
Well, I got to turn it up, and it's going to be an amazing chat with Erica Massacoy of the ULA Company. So excited to have her on. So, yes, please, y'all, stay tuned. Looking at today, Chats with Trey, 2 p.m.
All right, and so now we're waiting for Latanya from Sistas Rock the Arts to pop in on us. Until then, we're gonna keep it moving down here. And also, just it's crazy. Got an email from City Hall, and actually, I got info like late last night, early this morning that people vandalized. They went to the mayor's house last night and vandalized the mayor's house, spray painted all kinds of stuff. Just got an email over from City Hall. I actually got some photos from a while ago, but until they're verified by City Hall. Of course, we don't want to put anything up there, but we'll talk about that in 1 second. But Councilmember Mosqueda yesterday took what I guess was called a deep dive, a budget deep dive. They made animations, everything. We couldn't watch it because we were doing show prep for yesterday's show. But Councilmember Mosqueda released a video, and I'll be honest with you, I got to these guys at City Hall. They released a video, but there was no audio to it, so it was like quiet. So we put our own soundtrack underneath it. It didn't come from City Hall like this. Let everybody know this is Councilmember Mosqueda explaining the budget process, how they see it, and what the mayor's doing with the budget. Anyways, it kind of speaks for itself. So, like I said, we added the soundtrack. People might have fell asleep without that.
But hey, they might need to come to Converge, man, and see if they can, get that soundtrack for themselves, brother. You made it all the way right.
Yeah. But so what they're saying right there is that a lot of what the mayor is wanting to do is definitely reliant upon the Jumpstart tax. Of course, from the mayor's office, they're saying it's like revenue is revenue. Yeah, if it all comes into the pot, and then Mosqueda is saying revenue is revenue, but Jumpstart made the pot bigger, so we should use this for Jumpstart. But one thing that is good to see coming out of City Hall in this process is people are investing time in things like infographics, animations, FAQs, trying to pull people more into the conversation. So, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I love that because this is the age where people really are engaging so much more. A lot of younger folks are really engaging, and it's smart to really come down to the tools that we are used to seeing on the internet so much now. So many videos and brands have made their name doing these kinds of information videos, and it's great to have some edutainment out there.
It says, where can we find a slideshow? Well, we found it on Councilmember Mosqueda's. Let me put you up here. We found it on Councilmember Mosqueda's Twitter. There's probably a few other places over there on the city council. Might be on Mosqueda's page as well, but that's where we found it. So now moving over here to this situation with the mayor and the mayor's home. Let me try to pull it up here real quick. And let me, you can tell when I'm here controlling all this stuff because it goes in slow-mo. When Nikki Barron's here, it's like whoop, but when I'm here, it's crazy. So this is from Kamaria Hightower over in the mayor's office, and what they're saying is last night the mayor was once again a target of homophobic and threatening messages from some individuals claiming to be peacefully protesting. See attached. We will avenge you, Durkin. Ida, something we won't say here on air. Love Antifa. Jenny is a Nazi. And pictures of male genitals to the city's first lesbian mayor. Man. Sorry, everybody. I'm just giving it to you in real time. So we weren't able to make a slide or whatever. Through the summer, the mayor has experienced several protests outside of her home, by the same individuals that have resulted in threatening and often homophobic and misogynistic, in addition to being violent. Some examples, we're not going to read that, but I'm sure you see it on screen. In addition to these messages, her home this summer, the mayor saw an increase in threats and hateful messages via email, swatting, social media, mayor's office, on and on here. And it looks like these are some, the files came through really big, so, eesh. There's some of the stuff that's, that was spray painted outside of the mayor's home. Yeah.
Yeah. This is
So,
this is tough.
so we see that there's people are hitting the houses, and this was a big discussion early on, a few months ago, and I remember at the time we had brought let me pull this out. It's hard to do all these things at one time. Nikki Barron, where are you? It's a bit difficult to do all this stuff at one time, but yeah, we talked about this a few months ago, and actually when protesters went to Councilmember Juarez's home, and Jossie Ross came on, and man, I forget her name right now. I'm sorry, but Jossie came on, and they were representing this Native American coalition, and the Native American coalition was like, man, don't bring this smoke to her house. And what they were saying was like, she has a public office, she has a public space. And I know the Native community didn't really take kindly to people going to Juarez's home. And now the last time that I believe that we at least reported on something there at the mayor's house is when there was actual march. Remember, it was a big march that was led there, and then the mayor retaliated with a letter over to city council, asking them to basically deal with council member Sawant. Because I believe either Sawant led the march to the mayor's house or was part of it. So, yeah, this is another one out there.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing too really is that so many people I think are really, this is seeing people at their kind of wits end, and it's unfortunate because I think when you are trying to organize and have this peaceful style, I mean, we saw this in the civil rights era, when the establishment is not listening, is still not listening, and continues to kind of not listen and do their own thing. Unfortunately, it really pushes people to this level. And I see people saying, things like peaceful protesters or, what's up with these guys. The thing is that you're right. I mean, this is a part of it where we've seen a lot of peaceful protests. And I think folks start to wonder, how much more can we do? What can we do to really get our voice heard? How can we ensure that something else changes? And this is really unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, well, the flip side of it is if people came over there to K.Y. King Garrett's house, you know what I'm saying? If it was a different community over here and they organized people who came to White King's house, what would people be saying then? If they came to Larry Gossett's home, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you just call it like you see it. You come to my mama's home. I mean, man, I'm gonna see you. You'll find me and Jossie out there. You see what I'm saying? And some of everybody else. I mean, it's just honest conversation that if people are gonna operate in this space, how much what's inbounds and what's out of bounds. Because I'll be honest with you, it wasn't too many decades ago that people was trying to come to our houses there in the CD, that people was giving bomb threats, that people was doing some of everything else on the flip side of this issue. So, we'll see how this plays out, and everything else. The word on the street is, that this is an escalating tactic. So we very well might see more of this here in the coming days, but we'll keep an eye out on it. That was an email directly to us. I got the news this morning, reached out to Kamaria Hightower at the mayor's office. Kamaria sent that back. I don't know if the mayor has also already released a public any information to the public, but I'm sure that sometime today she will.
Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah.
We'll follow up on this one.
We'll follow up on it. All right, man. I got a real. We're out of order today. Nikki's not here, so I'm all over the place. But we're gonna get through it. We're out of order today, but man, Kevin Schofield over at SCC Insight. Kevin wrote something yesterday on his blog on SCC Insight here, and I'll actually bring it up. This is what the Supreme Court did yesterday. It says here, a footnote to history: the state Supreme Court tries to repair a past harm to Black lives. And man, this story is crazy because what it's all about is in 1960, and especially for people who might sit and think that, we tell this story, people talk about liberal Seattle and everything else. Well, in 1960, the way this story goes here is there was a family, and it was Mr. and Mrs. Price. And Mr. and Mrs. Price, back in 1960, they went to a cemetery and to bury their infant child. Their child had died as an infant. And there was an area of the cemetery that was set aside that was called Babyland. And they wanted to bury their baby in Babyland where other infants were buried. Well, the cemetery owners said Babyland was restricted for white babies only. This is here. This is Seattle in 1960. And insult to injury, though, because these guys, the Price family, was like, not only are they trying to bury their child, they buried the child somewhere else, and they took it to court. And they was like, damn, even in death, here in Seattle, the area of the cemetery for babies was segregated, right? They took this thing to court, and basically the Supreme Court of the state of Washington at the time, because there was a law in the books. The law said, like, look, man, you can't segregate in a funeral cemetery, can't segregate. There was a RCW, Revised Codes of Washington, so it was a law in the state of Washington, right? And the cemetery took, in this case, they went to the Supreme Court, and what the Supreme Court said was that law that bound integration basically in the cemetery was invalid, right? 60 years ago, they found on the side of the cemetery that segregated and said that this black baby couldn't be buried in Babyland, and that ruling sat on the books for 60 years. And basically, what it said was that in that law, there's 57 things that talk about cemetery regulations. Maybe, a coffin has to be this size, they have to be this far apart, this and that. And one thing in it that talked about basically civil rights. And so when they went to the Supreme Court, when they went there in 1960, they were like, well, there's two things in this law. And so basically they invalidated it. Well, come to this case with Tim Eyman, 60 years later. In I-976, the Supreme Court, in doing their research on past precedents, came across this case from 60 years ago, and they took the opportunity here to, in the exact words, they put a footnote. And by the way, the main justice at that time, 60 years ago, Justice Mallory, was like basically, he was known racist. He absolutely did not like black people at all, right? They put a footnote here, the state Supreme Court did, and let me find it. The footnote, 60 years later, state Supreme Court says, we must remember that even the most venerable precedents must be struck down when it's incorrect and harmful. The systemic oppression of black Americans is not merely incorrect and harmful. It's shameful and deadly. 60 years ago, and people who've ever lost an infant, imagine that you've lost your small child and you're just going to go to try to bury your child in a cemetery where other babies, and what they tell you at the time is that this is for white babies only. 60 years later. So.
Whew, what a story. Oh, and honestly, what a way to to feel like, wow, that's what it took. It took the 60 years for someone to be able to see this and think this needs to be rectified. Uh, that's what we're dealing with here, where we understand that, there are a lot of ingrained ideas. They are in bed in this system. They are built of the system. And that is forever to see justice in a case like that.
I mean, when you talk about systemic, when you talk about this, that was the state precedent. That was that you know what I'm saying? This that Ayman. So whether you like Ayman or not, this 976 right here. It's a small footnote. It's on the last page of the ruling, on the 13th page, and everything else. And that's why it's important to read these things all the way through. And big shout out to Kevin Schofield, SCC Insight. If you guys want to see this article in full, go to sccinsight.com and you'll hear the whole thing. But I mean, if you could imagine 60 years ago trying to bury your infant and you go to the cemetery and they say no black babies allowed. And this is right here in Seattle, Washington. I mean, in our history is our history. And we don't talk about these things to make people uncomfortable. We talk about these things because we got to embrace our history of who we are as a city and our shared experience and how we go through them.
Absolutely. And the only way we actually learn is by looking back. We talk about the Sankofa method. You got to look back to know how to move forward. And this is exactly what, this example provides us. If we don't understand a lot of the historical systemic racism that's been buried into so many covenants within Seattle and throughout King County, that we are going to set ourselves up for a disservice, as we try to think about shaping and reforming change. We really do have to learn from those past, some of them atrocities, unfortunately.
Again, you can read more about it at sccinsight.com. We're gonna take we're gonna take an early break. We'll be right back. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
My parents coming over here as refugees meant that they didn't really have anything when they came to America. Having reliable healthcare and having a reliable doctor was really important. Cộng đồng của tôi, trạm y tế của tôi.
我的社区，我的诊所。Mi comunidad, mi clínica.
بلشدة هي بقارها.
My community, my clinic.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury.
And I'm Trey Holiday.
All right, Trey, moving on. It's like I'm picking topics out of here. They gave me a bunch of them, though, to talk about here today. It was a real interesting one right here. I think it's touching all of us. 8 million, this is from the New York Times, 8 million has slipped into poverty since May as federal aid has dried up. And this article here in the New York Times is real insightful. The majority of the people who are falling into poverty, of course, people of color, black people, brown people. It's a lot of people out there that are hurting right now, sliding more and more into poverty across America.
My goodness, definitely hitting so many households and honestly hitting so many in our community. I'm glad that we're able to uplift those numbers, but it's really sad to hear how these numbers are only growing. As you look at some of the future projections on some of these numbers, you see stark rises in the coming future. And that is definitely something for all of us to be concerned about.
Yeah, and we'll see how all this plays out, but it's not looking good. Very good article, like I said. If you go to the New York Times, you'll be able to check that out. We see Latanya has popped in here now. We only got a short amount of time, so maybe we can just talk about what's going. Hold on? Are you driving? I don't even know if I could put this on there. We gonna get flamed.
Okay, well, bro, man, yeah, you know, one thing about it is, when you're working and grinding, and that's what I do. So I'm sorry to be out here like this on the live stream. I know this is y'all kingdom, and y'all like it right tight.
You live. Everybody sees you right now. All right, so real quick, we're over time, but maybe you can just tell everybody about what's going on tonight.
So what's going on tonight is Sisters Rock the Arts is using our musical platform to marry the issues to the music. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I have been a domestic violence advocate for over 20 years, dealing with sexual assault, trafficking of young children and young girls. And so we are just denouncing, any violence perpetrated on Black and brown bodies. And so we're having a separate Zoom room where there will be a lot of healers and a lot of survivors and other folks that are survivors or have dealt with this issue, this very serious issue. It's really interesting that, for a lot of the brothers and folks that are in our artist collab that, it's like we got to be mindful about putting our statements out there because some folks have been attacked in the past for expressing their views on issues such as this and other things. And I'm just like, that is crazy.
But we still have her.
To denounce something that is so, it's awful what's happening in our community. And it's historical. It's just not a new thing. But it's like we need to destigmatize, the issue and be able to talk about it as a community. So Abundance of Hope will be leading us in that conversation. It's a local grassroots Black nonprofit, Black woman-led organization that works in the field in the realm of domestic violence and other issues that impact our Black and brown communities. And so they'll be leading that conversation. We'll have Infinity. She'll be another sister who is a resuscitatory nurse who will be healing and surviving COVID and everything else in between. So it's a lot that'll be happening. We'll have music going on in between, but we mainly want to make sure that we have the conversation with our community and whoever wants to join us. So the link is on the Arts page on Facebook. The gallery opens at 5:30 and the room starts 6.
Okay, and that's at the Sisters Rock the Arts Facebook page. And tonight's all about marrying the music and the message and domestic violence and really putting it out there.
Yes. Thank you so much, LaTanya, for coming on and sharing this today. I hope that folks log on and get inspired, get educated, and also get entertained as well, all in one.
Yeah, a little entertainment,
Wherever you go and get there safe, we're going to let you go, all right?
Yes, brother, always. Be blessed. Thank y'all.
Bye-bye. Man, hey, people take these call-ins to the Morning Update show serious. You know what I'm saying?
She said, "Look, I can't miss my opportunity. A mover in the community. I'm just glad that we're able to hear that message and uplift it today. Again, Domestic Violence Awareness Month is something serious. So I'm glad that folks in our community are going to be doing an event dedicated to that."
Man, you're here to say it loud and proud, too. Me personally and Converge Media, we take a stand against domestic violence. It's not okay. We ain't trying to give anybody any shade, any room, any space, or anything when it comes to this issue of domestic violence. And, we'll be supporting the event tonight with Sisters Rock the Arts. I got to do this, though. It's been a crazy kind of show. Can you help me shake it off a little bit?
Come on, brother.
It's supposed to be Feel Good Friday and everything, man. Switching gears here, because, Friday is our big music day, and we got all kinds of stuff going on along that route. Before we go to break in this segment, and then the next segment, we got Shaina Shepard. And Shaina Shepard, man, we did a segment with her, highlighting her, but also highlighting, man, Tim's Tavern. These venues are closing in Seattle. It's crazy. But we're going to talk about that next segment. But right here from Jake Gravbrot, and everybody always loves this work that Jake does. Jake sat down with Seattle area producer Qreepz, sat in a studio session with him. You know what I'm saying? We're going to shift gears right here. We're going to play this segment which produced by Jake Gravbrot, and it's the producer Qreepz.
I caught up with local producer and MC Qreepz this week, only a few days after he dropped his second full-length album, Arts and Crafts, on October 9th. We sat down and talked a little bit about where he began with music, and also some of the process behind creating Arts and Crafts.
Where did you get started with music?
Well, I ran away from home when I was 14.
Okay.
From Moreno Valley, California. It's like family issues when I was younger. I had never even caught a city bus. I caught the Greyhound up here. I was like burning CDs at the time, like 14-ish, 15, and like selling like mixtapes to people at school for like the low. And I made like $80, and then I got a Greyhound ticket and I came up here. My uncle Randy, my uncle Reggie, and my dad live up here, and my grandma. So I just was like, shot it, like, you know, slingshot, like, just try it out. Yeah, my uncles pretty much got me into it. They had a DR5 drum machine, like a Boss DR5 drum machine, and like I would just like veg out on that, have the headphones on, and like just make like little loops on there. Like, you couldn't really do a whole lot on that. So I just started doing that, and I was listening to Jungle at the time. Like, I was really into drum and bass. During that time, it was like 96 or 7 when Blade came out.
The movie.
The movie, yeah. So Blade came out, and I just was like, had never heard drum and bass or jungle ever in my life. And I remember seeing that movie and asking my cousin. I went to the movies with it, and she was like, yeah, they call it drum and bass, like jungle or drum and bass. Like, she was in college at the time. I was like, wow, like, this shit's crazy. I mean, I obviously was listening to mad, like, Dre and, like, Snoop. I grew up in California, and, like, my parents used to play, like, Wu-Tang, like, Too Short, like, all that, like, Atlanta Outkast and shit, like, everything. So I was really tapped in on hip-hop and rap at the time, for sure, but, like,
that was exposing you to something entirely different.
Completely different, you know? I was running sessions at my grandma's house at, like, 16, and, like, you know, I wasn't charging anything. It was just like neighborhood.
She's learning.
Learning, yeah. Tapping in, but like that's kind of where it started. Like,
I want to get some footage of you just maybe even just kind of going through and just like recreating a track from the record.
Yeah, I can do something like that. Yeah, I can totally do something like that. I did some really weird stuff with this sound. It was like a violin, but I stretched it hella like far, and then I chopped like quarter notes of it, and then I put those quarter notes together, and then I stretched it again, and that's why this sound.
That's what that's from.
Yeah, it's just like a violin, but just stretched out.
Of all the hip-hop records that I've listened to this year, this particular album will stand out as one of the best, not just from the local scene, but altogether. Qreepz' understanding of how to craft an album is as on point as his understanding of how to weave together his own beat set. He's on a level unto his own. Check out Arts and Crafts on all streaming platforms, but if you're really down to show the love, purchase the discography on Bandcamp for whatever price you want. You can catch up with Qreepz online by finding him on Instagram at QREEPZ. Also, find him on Bandcamp under that same name.
All right, Jake grabbed right there. The artist is Qreepz. Man, wait till people, you know what I mean? They out here, they see reporting like, you know, City Hall and this, that, and you know, protests and council members. Wait till you see what Converge does with music.
Yes, absolutely, man. Music, we have a great music scene right here in Seattle, man. Time to give them some shine. Love it.
I'm going to tell you, don't believe me, just watch. Wait till you see what Converge does with music. You feel me? Like, you know, we got some of the best producers and directors in the city sitting over here at Team Converge, man. We finna tear the roof off this whole music setup over here. Actually, I'm gonna save this for next. I got something really good, and it's really powerful. I'm gonna save it to next week. We're gonna go to break right now, and when we come back, we've got Shaina Shepard. You know what I'm saying? She's in the building on the video link. I see right there. You gonna wave back at me? They can't see you. Well, we're breaking. Hey. Shaina's there in the waiting room, and we're gonna come and we're gonna talk to her about an event that's going on tomorrow at Tim's Tavern. They're trying to save Tim's, save these music venues. But take a short break. We'll be right back. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
The Yard Bros. I'm Taco.
I'm Tia.
And this is our love story.
So we've been together for 14 years and married for 12.
So we met at a choir rehearsal.
No.
Which way?
We met at church.
Oh, you talking about the very first?
The very first interaction.
When you were shady. Okay.
I was not shady.
live, and I was like,
Oh,
will
I
you?
remember that.
And then it cuts off, and then I was like, marry me. And then I feel the bars.
But it stopped being about each other. And so COVID helped us to return to, wow.
We matter.
We,
You and I matter.
yeah. Yeah, thank you for listening to our love story.
We're the Yarbros
And
vote
Black Love.
All right, welcome back. Vote
Oh, hi.
Black Love this Sunday 7. Look, there's Shaina. She's on the screen. What's happening?
Oh, I don't know if I can hear y'all all right. Hey, can you hear me okay?
But we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Oof. All right, let me try. I can't hear anything you're saying. I'm so sorry.
Well, we weren't talking, but maybe you can hear us now. You can hear us now?
How about now?
There you go. You should be able to hear us now. Yeah. Can you hear us?
All right.
This is the best part of live TV. You can hear us now, Shaina?
Literally can't hear anything.
So no, but you know the best thing is you gotta be quick on your toes. So here's what we're gonna do. You can't hear us. I'm gonna put it in the chat over here. Let me just introduce something here real quick.
Go to Cam Mike says. All right. Audio.
There you go. We gonna work through it with you. Can you hear us now?
Oh, child.
Okay.
Hello?
No worry. Yeah, we hear you.
No.
Here's where
I'm sorry,
here's what we're
y'all. I really have no idea.
Don't worry. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and mute her, and we're gonna let her try to figure that out. But and so let me go ahead and introduce this video. So basically, what's going on right now is people are really trying to save venues across Seattle. You know what I'm saying? Venues are disappearing. We're gonna remove Shaina at the moment. We'll bring Shaina back when she's got her audio together. But venues are closing across the city, or on the threat of closing. There's a lot of campaigns going on around the city to try to save these venues. And one of the venues is Tim's Tavern. And so director, producer extraordinaire, Alia D'Alessandro, caught up with Shaina over at Tim's Tavern. And Tim's Tavern is actually having a big fundraiser tomorrow, big live stream and everything else. And so this is Alia's work. A lot of times Alia's actually a director here. She's been directing the morning show, her and Daryl, for quite a while, been directing the show, and there goes Alia in the back screen. But she's been directing the show, but this is the first time that we actually get to see Alia's work on screen. So we're gonna play this clip right here, and then hopefully on the back end of that, we'll be able to get Shaina so she can talk about it a little bit more. And again, just to intro this video, Converge, man, like I said, we love music. We're all about the music and everything else. We want to do our part to save venues across the city and drive attention to what people are doing. And so this is 2-in-1. Awareness around Tim's Tavern and also spotlighting Shaina Shepard.
My name is Mason Reed. I'm a co-owner of Tim's Tavern. This is Wiley from Bricolage Studios. Tim's has been around since 1936 officially, but there's rumors that it was a speakeasy during Prohibition. The bar had several different names throughout the years, but it became Tim's in 2012 when it was purchased by the former owner, who turned it into Tim's Tavern. He knocked out the wall, added the stage. Matthew and I purchased the bar in 2016 and started doing live music every night of the week and really turned it into the venue that it is today.
With his heart back home and his hands in the ground, he found his riches.
We like to consider ourselves an incubator of sorts. A lot of bands play their very first show here. They develop, they kind of sharpen their teeth and refine their chops, so to speak. And we're proud of that. We're a little place. It's a place where a band can come if they can't sell out the Tractor Tavern or they can't sell out the Sunset. They can come to Tim's and get a start and know that there's a stage here and an eager audience.
This is the first bar I ever performed in. It's the first bar my band ever performed in, Barracks. It's the first bar I ever had a one-night stand out of. When Barracks did our first show, this stage here was way shallower. Like where this beam is right here, it was like, And like, we are used to rehearsing like in a giant, not a garage, like in a giant warehouse. So we were up here clambered together, and like, I was like, we all got dolled up and we were like really excited and nervous. This is the neighborhood bar, right? There's like neighborhood people drinking here, having a good time. People coming in to see a show, whether they know you're here or not. And then just people like, hey, be great. Be great. I've been here all day. So we get up here and we start garage rocking. At first, people were like haters. It felt like one of those stand-up comedy shows where you like, you have people sitting right there, and I'm like trying to banter. I've never bantered. What are you gonna say? And I'm like, I like your hat. And they're like out here, like, this girl, she's trying her best. These guys, they're in here. They're gonna make something of themselves. And that's kind of that was such a gift.
You'll see a lot of band members or members of other bands coming to support shows or just hanging out here in the afternoon.
When Tim's closed, that was a place where like, okay, my battery is not gonna be charged. It just feels like if you're an artist, this is where you can come and just actually be an artist off duty and not be an artist that's networking or an artist that's thinking about the next thing. It's just like when you go into like a new friend's house, the extra care and extra caricatures that have been placed to create a specific vibe, to create a specific sense of home, that's been done here. And that is what you carry to every show. That's what you carry to every show. To like, if we go on tour for 17 days and then we come back home, I'm having a drink here because I can sit in the back and listen to somebody else's story and also feel like this is a home base for my artistry, for my art self, my art Shaina,
So we started streaming like March 18th or something, and did about 40 shows all from home. And then slowly, when we felt safe, we started moving them into the bar itself.
We're trying to keep the musical ecosystem alive, so it's a place where bands can play, where they can express themselves creatively, and also make a little bit of a paycheck. Save Tim's Fest is this Saturday, the 17th of October. It starts at 2 o'clock, and I believe it's going to go all day long. We have over 70 local bands and some national and international acts as well. So we're really looking forward to Save Tim's Fest. And then after that, we're going to start our weekly live streams. You can get all the information you need at savetims.com.
All right, savetims.com. That's tomorrow. We're gonna try this again. You got your fingers crossed, Trey? we're gonna try.
No, let's do it.
Let's see if we can bring in Shaina.
Hello,
Shaina. Hey, there it is. So first thing I have to say is you give a whole new meaning to Black Girls Rock.
Thank you, Amari. That means a lot. Thank you very much. That's the goal.
Yeah, and big shout out to producer director Alia De Alessandro. And this was her first time. She directs the show from behind the scenes. So this is our first time seeing her work on screen. And man, you guys look and sound great.
Right there. Yeah, that's the best part about Alia is she gets the artist perspective. She's an amazing artist, rock and roller. So she gets it and she puts it in a great story. Happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great piece, Alia.
Tell us, before we talk about what's going on at Tim's, tell us like what's the ecosystem right now for live performing artists like yourself since COVID? What are you guys going through?
Child, it's like they went and they took everything from you. Like people are always, my friends that are not artists are like, okay, so you can't make music anymore. What's your next step? And it is kind of earth-shattering when not only your passion, your hobby, your fellowship, your church, your everything has been taken away without live music, and even the sense of possibility itself, and for the next steps for what you want to see the world to look like, that's uncertain as well. So I think right now it feels a little bit different now. I feel like people are trying to revive our music community and get really inventive and innovative with how to continue the journey, but it's about to be a journey, baby.
Right, and how much has... Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a question, Trey?
No, go ahead. I just was agreeing.
Yeah, she was giving me the Black Girls Rock right there.
Okay. That's that Black girl magic. Let me tell you.
Right, that's just
let me let you. Hold on.
Oh,
That's how
Mari.
it should look, right? Hey,
So funny.
so I mean, one of the things is like we miss so many things, and like for us and me and Triana early on, one of the first things we did when everything got shut down is for like 7 weeks in a row, or this was back in March, 7 Sundays in a row, we streamed Goodie Bag, live from Black Dot Underground, because people just hearing and seeing Goodie Bag and taking some requests, it brought a sense of comfort to our community and a little bit of normalcy. They couldn't really be there in the club or performing venue with Goodie Bag, but they could feel it. And so, one, I feel like we were early adapters to this, because we were streaming as soon as COVID went down. We were like, our community needs their music.
That's
so,
right.
so,
That's right.
so we were putting Goodie Bag out there. But tell me, has streaming and the possibility of streaming and reaching your fans that way, have you been able to take advantage of that? Are you doing more streaming things, or you just kind of wait and see?
I've been blessed. I've been streaming as much as I can, doing so many shows. It's an interesting thing because, like you said, it's not the same as being in the room of live music where you feel the vibration, where you have that shared moment of energy. That's so healing for people. But when you do streams, you change the culture. You're not just elaborating, on an artistic story through your music or through that energy in the moment. You're also doing it visually. So you're collaborating with visual storytellers to tell the perspective of one audience member at your show. And so there's I think that this streaming scene, or as it were, is evolving rapidly right now, which is exciting because you see people doing different, you can see the story arc of a singular show by watching their show, like Big Building Bash does shows, Work From Home, they were doing great shows. Other streaming platforms are doing great shows, and they have their own message. So when you are an audience member on that show, you can see that perspective. But as an artist, I do streams with my solo band. I do streams with my rock band Barracks, and then we always, depends on if it's just me in my bedroom with this camera on my phone, that's an artist perspective, that's a show, versus me going all the way to Nectar and supporting Nectar or Tim's Tavern, and you see it's something really incredibly visual. That's not just a collaboration of people on stage, but people off stage too, for the person that's on the other side of the phone. So
Right, and I gotta throw this out here. I'm upset now that all you didn't invite me. You know what I'm saying?
Look, she had all that gear by herself, all in there. She got a lot on plate.
Man, so we got a comment up here. Nathaniel Luke Pinzon. My first time seeing Bear Axe was at Hoodstock 10, and Shaina is saying one of the greatest Nirvana covers I've ever heard.
Thank you so much, Nathaniel.
Yeah,
Love you. Love Hoodstock. Love Selena Bryant. Love Audra Boo. Love Taryn Dorsey. Love all these incredible, because rock and roll and black women in rock and roll didn't just start with me and Eva of the Incredible Black Tones. Okay, it was fostered here and from Women Rock the Arts. It is a South Seattle staple. It is our culture. Black women rocking it out and celebrating what all music is. Black music. Hey, all music comes from drums, and all drums come from Africa.
Yes.
Look at you, hey, what's happening?
So true. Uplift that more. So true.
Look at this is actually how this show should.
No, you're right, Omari. And me and her could Black Girl Magic sprinkle some great dust on the show all day.
My bag real quick.
Hey, now listen, you know you winning, Shaina, when my mama makes a comment and says, "This is good." I'm gonna tell you too, man. I'm glad we worked out this connection, because this show started really, and it's Feel Good Friday, but this show started in some kind of way because the news is the news and everything, and we was trying to shake it off, and the Qreepz segment started to shake off, but you've just made it really feel like Feel Good Friday right now. You bring a whole new energy up in here. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about Tim's Tavern and their effort to save Tim's Tavern and what's going on tomorrow.
Well, as you saw from that beautifully crafted story that Ollie did, Tim's is home for me and for my band Barracks. The owners there, they're not just owners, they're artists themselves. And You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is when I walked in this bar. It's a country bar. Who would have thought that me, a Black girl, first time in a music project ever, big afro, my first gig ever was in a country bar at the edge of town, and I have never felt more at home. And that's because the people at Tim's, they really get it. You know, they really get that we're just people. You know, we're not people when we're on stage. We are envisionments of our ideas and our journey, and we're sharing that moment with people. But off stage, we're just people trying to get there. You know. And Tim's gets that, and that's like one of those staples where like that's essential, you know, because without those spaces where you can really feel like you're connected to your craft, the craft becomes so meaningless, you know. And like with that beautiful segment that Jake did about Qreepz, gosh, I mean, I was just watching it like everybody else, you know, but when he was talking about how he started by just bringing his community together and celebrating a shared moment of sound. And that was and he's just a filter for those perspectives. So many voices, so much history coming through his eyes. And that's what we're hearing, some amazing stuff. You know, that can't happen without artist communities like Tim's. And there aren't a lot of them left in Seattle. So that's why I just feel like I've been standing on the mountaintop preaching about something that nobody would want to hear. But I like, save Tim's. Because the next generation of Black lady rockers don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. One thing that I noticed even before COVID was that venues are disappearing. Like people who move here from other cities, they're like, man, there's so many venues here. And I'm like, no. And the way that, you know, years ago, I used to actually manage a few different rap groups, you know, Central Intelligence, Scum Life, way back in the day. And there were so many venues that like you could go and get a small venue somewhere, sell tickets to your family, basically. They come up and support you, because the only way that an average rapper becomes a good rapper and a great rapper, and probably the same with a rock band, is like, man, people don't start off great. You go there, it's horrible. It's 10 people, 5 walk out, but you come back again, and you come back again, and you come back again. And the space for people to grow as artists in Seattle has continuously been getting smaller and smaller, because the number of venues that you can rock up, pack with family and friends, do your show, get your critique, you know, we'll call it that, and come back again and grow and grow and grow. They're disappearing in Seattle. And in my opinion, you're actually in the industry, but in my opinion, a lot of bands that made it 10 years ago or 20 years ago out of here, they might not have made it out of here today just for the lack of actual venues to go from average to good to great.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing that you say it that way, because it's not just Tim's that create the stuff. It's places like the Sea Monster, places like Roomba Notes, you know, places like Nectar, places that like where you can have, you can have an artist community that generates and creates that verb that it takes. You know, it's not just about having great stuff. It's about rallying people together around that shared perspective, that shared unified sound of music, so that you can go out of the city and say, this is who we are, and we know who we are, you know. Yeah. And like that has to be practiced on stage. I remember being so tentative, so timid. My first show, I was at Tim's Tavern, my first show, so timid, so terrified to stand up there in front of those people, as strangers. And it was those people in that room that decided to say, you know what, we're not going to judge what we're seeing right now. We're going to judge the potential, because we have our own shared perspective. We are our own artists, even though we don't perform and we're not singing on stage. We're our own artists with our ear. And we are going to say, this is working. We're going to continue to give you a space to grow. And that's really what it's about, having that space to continue to grow.
Yeah, and one of the things that I want to uplift here too, because I think it's definitely connected to this, is that, you know, so much of what we see in our communities is about this kind of relational building. And it's clear that that's what you have with the owners at Tim's. And it's clear that a lot of these owners of specific venues that have really had their ear to the ground, really care to uplift the artistry in their communities, regardless of how obscure it may have seemed at the time. Like, that is a part of the fabric of this. Like, honestly, it is. And to hear you talk about Tim so much and your first show, it really is about building those like solid relationships. And that is another form of community. So I love hearing you say that.
Absolutely. And that community, I mean, we need those spaces. When we come back, we're all trying to work. I mean, just think about all your favorite artists are out there at home trying to figure out how to use new technology in order to just communicate with each other, let alone have communicative, creative conversations that they can craft for you at home, you know. And it's not just Tim's that has that. I mean, that space. It's Vermilion on Capitol Hill as well. I want to just say as many of these spaces as possible, because my friends, we are struggling to stay connected in a way where we can still have artistic conversations and still explore who we are and explore our craft and build things, you know. And so even the idea that these venues are not going to be there, it's not about having a place to gig. It's having a place to listen to each other and having, you know, that space, that's community where you can go back and sit and be reflective and really grind the grindstone so you can go back home and write it down and share it, you know. So it's all of these amazing venues. It's really, and I know that we all want to save like huge venues, you know, that we can all see shows, but I feel like it's so much more, and not more important, but it's so important that we save our hometown neighborhood venues now.
I'm gonna just throw it out there. Those small venues are important. That people, a lot of them, people never heard of because they're just neighborhood venues. Because that is the starting point. That's the starting point where you can go to the local bar in your neighborhood and be like, hey man, you know what, how can we work something out for my band or my rap group to perform here on a Friday night? Well, you know, how are we going to work a bar? I mean, because it's not only musicians who start and hone their craft at these small local venues. That's the artist managers, the people who end up being booking agents, people who end up being promoters and graphic designers. I mean, it's an ecosystem. Of course, you know, the artist is the spotlight, but you know, a lot of times this is, you know, I was a first time green manager over there, going to a bar owner, like, man, I got this rap group. How do we work this and that and everything else? And got those skills. There's so many other ancillary businesses. Look at all the graphic designers who, when there's shows, they're designing, and you go from, I seen people 10 years ago, it was the best they could do, and now they have big design agencies, and it started around this music industry, and it all started around the growth on these very small venues that, you know, that people in one neighborhood might not know exist in another neighborhood, but that's the starting point. So while we do uplift the big venues that's out there, and let's keep uplifting them, man, let's not forget about these small venues that's given so many people their starting point in Seattle. And Seattle, we're so innovative here. You know, John Moore, rest in peace, Sit and Spin. They went to a laundromat. They're like, man, you know what? We're gonna make this a venue. People go to a local restaurant. They'll make it to be like, Seattle people are so creative, and we just want to play. And you know, I want to salute you, Shaina Shepard. And I also want to say that all those years ago at Tim's Tavern, when you were just timid and nervous on stage, you ain't timid and nervous no more.
You got this.
This looks like another.
You got it, girl. You got it. All the love and uplifting, sending you spiritual light and love and energy, all the blessings.
Yes, Black Girl Magic. Hey, yeah.
Shaina, before we get out of here, man, please tell people how they can get up with you, how they can support you, and all those other good things.
Absolutely. I got a list, honey. Let me go get my bag. And the best thing that you can do for me, make my Fridays as fabulous as ever, is to go to savetims.com, please, and make a donation. I don't leave no $10 donation unless that's your 10%. You know, really get down in there and
dig in the bag, huh?
Yes, give with your heart over there, because that's really gonna make a lot. If you want to just see me around, I am around Shaina Shepard Music on everything, on the website, ShainaShepardMusic.com, Instagram, and everything. My band, Bear Axe, we are just getting in the studio. Really have a lot of incredible live performances on YouTube that you can check out, from Nectar Lounge, Vinyl Street Cafe, Tim's Tavern, our home in White Center, Washington, Wild Bill's Auto Body Shop, and so many other venues that you could just stream and watch them. And you can watch me on my stream. I'm on Freak Out Records, a Seattle-based record label for Shaina Shepard Music. Check me out. The song "The Virus" is out now, and it's all about this crazy time. So get into it. It's shock inspired.
All
and
right.
I love Converge Media so much.
I got two hands
watch
on
this
that
every week, and I love what you do. It keeps me going. Truly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And also a big thank you and a big I am so proud of you to Alia, de Alessandro.
Yes.
And her,
Tres leches forever.
yeah, and her incredible work. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, it's almost the weekend with Kalligraphy. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
We're the Yard Bros. I'm Taco.
I'm Tia.
And this is our love story.
So we've been together for 14 years and married for 12.
So we met at a choir rehearsal.
No.
No. Which way?
We met at church.
Oh, you talking about the very first?
The very first interaction.
When you were shady. Okay.
I was not shady.
And I was like, will you?
I remember that.
And then it cuts off. And then I was like, marry me. And then I feel these
but it stopped being about each other. And so COVID helped us to return to, wow.
We matter. You and I matter.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to our love story.
We're the Yard Bros.
And vote Black Love.
Yo, vote Black Love. I'm ready for it. 7 o'clock on Sunday. That's Tia and Taco Yarbrough. And man, real interesting story with them. Very happy, loving couple. He's a celebrity stylist and hair, does all this hair for celebrities, goes on tour, and she's a principal or a vice principal at school, and it's a great love story. And I mean, this elections these days has been kind of crazy. It's Republican, Democrat, you won't go wrong with voting Black Love.
You know it, brother. Definitely. I love the concept. I'm happy that it's finally launching this Sunday at 7 p.m.
All right, so it's time again, and I checked with these guys, Trey, and these mixologists and producers and directors out here, and yeah, they got a drink for you because it's almost the weekend, and the story behind almost the weekend, we might got some new viewers out there, is that people support Converge in all kinds of ways. And these guys, they supported Converge by coming up with a drink menu made after all these different funny things that we do or sayings. I think last week's was commitment to understanding. This week's almost the weekend with Kalligraphy the drink is called It's Getting Funky Out Here. And if you listen to the streams back in the day, you know where they got that. It's getting funky out here.
Hey, it's almost the weekend.
Woo!
What's up? My name's Eric, Kalligraphy with Converge. We're sitting here today with...
I'm Matt James from Bathtub Gin & Company and the How to Be a Better Drinker podcast, part of the Soundcasting Network.
3 weeks
And we're going to make a cocktail to get you ready for the weekend. This one is called It's Getting Funky in Here. So let's bring the funk to it.
All right.
Yeah. Let's start off with some Lafroig.
All right.
Lafroig, the Isla Scotch. It's really smoky, really peaty, and it tastes kind of like the ocean, but kind of like a fire next to the ocean.
Yeah.
Right? So let's go with a half an ounce of that. Yeah, a little more. That's good. Yeah, that's good. And then the next one, we got the Mezcal Union right there to the left. Yeah. And this is kind of like the grand uncle of tequila. Agave-based spirit. It's going to be a little bit more smoky than most of the tequilas. Let's do 1.5 ounces of that. So pretty. So good. And then we got some Suze. Let's do 0.5 ounce of that.
Gotcha.
And Suze is a gentian-infused aperitif from the Alps of France. And it's going to be like really woody and earthy and herbaceous. Some more funk.
More funk.
Yeah. Let's pop open some pineapple juice.
Oh, nice. I was like, this is gonna be
Right? Yeah. It doesn't all have to be laborious. We'll just do a 3/4 ounce there. There we go. And then some lime juice. Eric, do 1/4 ounce in there. Just just to offset that sweetness from the pineapple. And then go ahead and throw some ice in there and let's shake.
All right.
Shake them up, shake them up, shake them up, shake them. And then you remember that double strain, right? Yeah. Double straining through the mesh strainer so that
whole week.
Yeah, God, it seems like it just flew by. There we go. Whenever it was about to get funky, it also got spicy, right? So we got a little Thai pepper there. And there we are. It's getting funky in here.
Cheers.
Okay, there we are. All right, man. Big shout out to these guys for this segment. That segment, that really takes a lot of work, and it visually it looks fantastic. Again, that's Jake Gravbot there. That was Bobby Stills on the audio and the lighting, and of course Eric Kalligraphy right there. You know, guys over Bathtub Gin. And people are like, man, you got a non-alcoholic. We're like, man, we want Trey's drink next week. Like, man, you know, it's almost the weekend. Really, it is. But once this show ends, it is the weekend. we need to go hook up and go get our drink, Trey. Yeah. But before we get out of here, and again, big shout out to the team for putting these segments together. And I think people see that Converge, you know, we're growing into the words that like we wrote down 4 years ago. I'll put it up on Monday. But 4 years ago, we said exactly what we wanted to be doing, and we're doing it, like down to like every comma and every period in that statement that we wrote 4 years ago. And I'll make sure and share that with everybody on Monday. And it's incredible. And it's also a reminder, man, to stay down. You know what I'm saying? Stay. If you really love what you're doing, you got a passion for it, man. It's been difficult, stay down, but man, we're thriving in our space right now, and it's showing with the things that our production team is doing.
Yeah, and I'm so elated. I mean, Chats with Trey has been really a lifelong dream of mine. I've said it on the show before. And so I'm so thankful that, you know, Converge team, Carlos Amani, others who help with graphics and all. I mean, really, it is such a family, and I'm so thankful for it. So you guys, again, 2 p.m. right after this show today, Chats with Trey will be on Converge Media, wherever you're watching this stream.
So I found a real interesting clip right here. It's called Restitution. Looks like it's a documentary that's coming out in 2021. Came across it on YouTube. It's a lower quality version, so I apologize to everybody. It's a 2-minute trailer to this documentary, but it looks like it's going to be really powerful.
What's at the center of the American dream? The home. You know, the American dream is based on the ownership of property. In most cases, this land has been passed on generation after generation after generation after generation. For decades and even hundreds of years, you know, we were locked out of the American dream. For us, the American dream was really a nightmare. And even when you could earn yourself to a place or somehow maneuver yourself to a place where you became a landowner, even then you were at risk. Not just your land, but your life.
Did my family own the property that I just so happened to live on that I paid for? Property that I should have inherited.
So once again, you're saying this document that your research is on that level. This is what we're talking about.
What happened to the property? I want to see the title. The people living on it, show me your title to that property. I want to see deeds to the property. But it happened, you know.
This document actually changed our family's history. Our family could have a totally different outcome in reality if it wasn't for these documents.
Absolutely. When you're able to make that connection and you really start to understand where you came from, that's a really powerful place to be. It can't be taken. So the question is, how was it taken? When the law by definition says it can't be taken.
All right, so man, restitution right there is the Shallot family, and basically they're researching their property because it's over time their property was stolen from them, and what they're saying is that it's representative. They're just one family representative, maybe of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of black families in the South that had property that were illegally moved or their property was stolen from them. And so they do all this research there through genealogy and county records and everything else. I'm gonna try to see if I can get a hold of the directors of this documentary because it seemed like a very interesting story.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely one that needs to be uplifted. Once again, so many hidden atrocities. And when they're exposed, we really learn from them all.
All right. Well, me, I'm standing up on this side. I'm so glad that when we say thank God it's Friday, thank God. I'm so glad it's Friday. Hey.
Yes.
And so, okay, 2:00 today, we have Chats with Trey, right? And man, and depending on how things go, I don't think people hear from me until Monday, but you never know if it gets funky out here. But at the end of the week, definitely just want to take a moment and again say thank you to our people who are viewing, people who read, on our website. Some people just are on our Instagram, Twitter, all the way around. You know what I'm saying? Your overall support of Converge Media. And what we're doing here. I just want to tell you sincerely, thank you. I appreciate you. You're the reason that we're out here and we stay in the mix and we keep trying harder and harder every day. So much appreciation to our fans and supporters of Converge Media.
Absolutely. So much love. And we thank you guys. We can't do it without you.
All right. So 2:00 today, Chats with Trey. But as far as the morning show goes, catch us Monday at 11 a.m. And until then, peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the
rising sun of a new day.